Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Batcast, where I, Adam Upper, talk with my buddy Braydon Kenny about Batman, the animated series. And this week, we're talking about Vendetta. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing jazzy. How about you, Adam?
I am well. I am well. So just on my day off and forgot that we were doing this today. So just kind of rushing to see our first episode with Killer Croc. I totally forgot that this episode was like this early in the series and stuff because I always thought that like his origin story was like the one where it like shows him like being in the carny circuit for a bit or whatever. I always thought that was like that this first episode, but apparently not.
Is that an episode?
Yeah, he's off with the like a turn like circus or whatever, like a carny circus for a bit as like the strong man or whatever, and because he's like
Okay.
they're doing the they're doing the whole like, hey, finally found somebody like people of my own ilk sort of thing or whatever, and then he just kind of turns because he's still like he's more a criminal than like a freak or whatever. So I think he ends up like robbing them or whatever. And they're like, we accepted you for who you are because we're all freaks, sort of way, like the Island of Misfit Toys sort of thing. If memory
Yeah,
serves
that
you.
does feel more like what a Killer Croc introductory episode would be.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
no, that's
remember
just
that
that.
episode, but we'll
Yeah,
get to it
so
eventually.
yeah, then I think I remember seeing this episode, but then probably didn't pay enough attention to realize that it seemed to be like the first episode because as we'll get into because with like Batman's little detective work, but
Mm.
let's see. Yeah, but with that, let's get into that. Yeah, so as we said, this is Vendetta, and the air date is October 5th, 1992. So yeah, so we're out of September. So this is the 23rd episode produced, but it's like the 21st one to air. So we're actually pretty close to production and air date, really. So really two off. So it's written by Michael Reeves and directed by Frank Power. I think we've had a few directed by Frank Power by now, if memory serves. Yeah, and Michael Reeves doesn't sound familiar, so I don't. If
Yeah,
memory
Michael
serves,
Reeves is a new one.
yeah, Frank Power seems to be a recurring director so far, at least. But yeah, this is the as we were saying. Yeah, this is the actual introduction to Killer Croc. Yeah, were you familiar? How familiar are you with Killer Croc as a whole, really?
Killer Croc, I remember seeing all the time in episodes where, especially like it was like a rogues gallery kind of grouping episode. But for the longest time, I didn't know his name. I kind of realized there was a couple episodes where he stood out more than others. I like him. I don't have any dislike for Killer Croc. It's just I don't think that the crocodile features really stood out to me compared to other adaptations, like say even the new Batman Adventures, which is a continuation and kind of rebranding of this series. I kind of like that design a little bit more, or like the Arkham games where you really see the crocodile features. Yeah, he's a good villain and a good opposition to Batman, even just in terms of brute force. Like before Bane, this was probably the most physically intimidating enemy that Batman could fight.
Definitely, yeah, definitely one of Batman's strongman villains, yeah, which I think it definitely gets shown in this episode of yeah for a bit, yeah. But yeah, it was definitely before seeing this, I wouldn't have known who Croc was because as I said before, like before watching this show, it was just really the Batman '89 and '92 movies that were my first introduction to Batman, and that is really this. So I definitely wouldn't have known about him beforehand. It definitely feels as he's like a more like an animal-based character. It almost feels like a Spider-Man villain than a Batman villain, really. Like,
Yeah, that's a good way of.
yeah, yeah, like, because other than like Penguin, I guess, or him and Killer Croc and Penguin are really the two like prominent like animal based like themed villains that Batman has really. But then I guess we've gotten just so used to Penguin being Batman's real guy, we didn't really think about it. But yeah, that definitely feels more like a he'd have more like witty back and forth with Batman than he already does, really, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this episode starts off with like the guy getting shuttled across, I guess, like Gotham Bay, I guess.
Yeah,
Really,
Spider Conway.
but I always thought it was weird that like, and not that to really see much of like what Gotham's layout is really here, but like it's always felt weird that they'd take the risk to like send him, even though we don't haven't seen Killer Croc before. It just felt weird that they'd send him across like on the bay instead of just like driving him because an open air boat always seems more hazardous to transfer than a car to me, even though there's no basis to that really, but feels like the
Yeah,
worst way to send a prison transport.
they really never explained why he was coming via boat, unless it was like from like an island prison or something like that.
Yeah,
I
because
the
it
opening of
doesn't
this
show. Sorry, go ahead.
the
Yeah,
opening
because
of this episode, really, really good animation, I want to say
yeah,
right off the bat. Like I love especially when the animators like know how to make you feel like you're in the scene. Like with this
yeah,
rain coming down, like you see like Gordon like kind of tucking himself underneath like the hood of his car to, get himself out of the splatter of the rain. Like that is like top notch visuals right there. But yeah,
yeah.
I still don't know why he was being taken via boat to the police escort.
So I guess like everything here, I guess it's like coming from Stonegate. So I guess like Stonegate's like on the water, I guess. But as I said, we never really get like a good layout of what Gotham looks here really, because it doesn't really, yeah, because I don't really think it really shows like how far away like Wayne Manor is from Gotham, or if it's like in Gotham proper, or if it's like up in like the rich hoity-toity part where it's usually portrayed to be really. So so I guess that's the thing really. So yeah, so the boat's like going across it by it, and he's like saying, and think they're saying that like, hey, we need to get this guy to shore and make sure we get him. And then you see somebody in the water, and then it looks like he initially kind of looks like he's trying to climb aboard. Then you see one of the cops they look down, and it's actually like a bomb on the boat. So yeah, actually, so they freak out. That boat explodes.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was right before that, Gordon is saying because like the whole reason they need this Conway guy is because he's here to like rat on Rupert Thorne. And Gordon's like, what is this guy complaining about? He's just gonna rat on the mob. Like, when has something ever bad happened to somebody who's informed on organized crime lords? Like, and Bullock of all people has to explain to him why this is a risky thing. When Harvey Bullock is explaining to Gordon the risks of police procedure. Maybe you need a new police commissioner.
If Bullock's just saying like, hey, this might not be a good idea, you may actually want to listen to
And he's right.
him.
Yeah. So yeah, the boat completely explodes. Like these officers, I don't know if they showed the officers getting off. I assume they jumped off. But the boat completely like goes off like a firework, and Batman's there kind of watching from afar. And yeah, they go to look for Conway, but he's gone. Like they can't find his body, so they assume he's like either completely blown to smithereens or he's been abducted, which is actually the latter. And while that's happening, Bullock drops a toothpick and wants the bay kind of like dredge to see like who's they want to find like what happened,
Yeah,
like any evidence that they could find.
drag the lake just to see if they can find his body. And I think with that, you kind of see, do you see Batman like kind of checking out everything to and go on the boat at this point, or is it later on?
I think
Because I
it's a
think
little bit later on because the first thing is Batman picking up that toothpick because he
yeah,
finds
but
a
also
similar toothpick.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, he has to get on the boat and goes out, and then he goes to the other dock and sees that. And then it cuts to Gordon and Harvey talking in his office, and they saying that he's going to take him off the case. And Bullock's like, "Hey, you can't be taking me off this case. This is my case, sort of thing." And Batman's like, and then again, like Batman, and the show was Batman hanging outside the window, And you would
Mhm.
think that yeah, like the Gotham police station would have like better construction that bad. Somebody could just like hang outside the door and just, outside the window and just like hear what's going on inside. Unless Commissioner Gordon's like yelling that loud, which doesn't yeah, unless it's the Batman Begins with actor guy Gary Oldman. I
Christian
don't think
Bale.
he no I know with Christian yeah, the Christian Bale movies with Commissioner Gordon what's his
Oh,
face
Gary Oldman.
yeah, Gary Oldman, unless it's him screaming. I don't think you'd hear him outside the window.
Yeah.
And then too with that, like after it says like boy, Bullock, because it seems that like Bullock has like a history with Rupert Thorne. Then it shows Batman doing the usual thing with a grapple gun and shooting up, but like he's just outside the window. You'd either think he'd go to the other side and shoot it off with like the grapple gun being that loud. Like that grapple gun
Yeah.
is super loud for like a stealth based character in
Yeah.
Batman.
Like it'd probably be about the exact like noise level of like firing off a flare gun. Like it's gonna be
Or
loud.
like actually, it sounded more like a close to like a loudness, I guess, or whatever, to a regular gun. Because like I don't think flare
Yeah.
guns are. I don't like not that I've ever shot off a flare gun, but I don't think they're that loud when they get shot off. I don't think. But again, not that I've ever actually seen a flare gun being shot off in real life, so it could be loud. I don't know, but just yeah, it sounded more like on the level of like an actual gun. So you think, especially as I said, at a fucking police station, don't be like doing like loud
Yeah.
noises outside like the like second or
Trigger
third.
happy cops.
Yes, especially like the second, third, fourth floor that it looked like they were on too. So like all of a sudden there's like a loud noise outside. Of course, like that's going to draw attention.
Yeah.
And then too,
So
that made me that before we go on, that also made me think that like Batman's shoulders must be fucked with like with all the swinging on the grapple guns and just doing that because I think Charlie too like yeah it comes up with a bit where he's like fucking with Bullock to try and get him to talk like he had like yeah he's like swinging on with himself then has somebody else on it too swinging around so like
yeah.
no, because the only other character that really swings around is Spider-Man, but at least he has like, the like almost mutant type stuff where like has like enhanced strength and durability, all that stuff. But Batman's just like in like peak human strength, his shoulders must be fucked. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
guess like the same thing. Like, I guess they tie. Speaking of the Christian Bale movies, like in the third movie where he's at the doctor's and he's like kind of to touch on that where it's like where his knees has like no cartilage left in them, sort of thing. So like at least that was the only time where it actually shows that like being Batman actually does take a toll on you, even if you are like peak human ability.
Yeah. Unless like Alfred is like poking him all over at the end of the night with like acupuncture needles. And when I
Or
say all over, I mean all over.
or that bentha tank that he has in the Batcave actually does have some good healing abilities, and
Yeah,
that's why you also see Darth Vader in there healing up himself too, because it actually does work.
that's true. We don't know what's in
Uh,
that bacta tank.
yeah, I definitely I definitely gotta get me one of those for his healing stuff. Yeah.
Mhm. So with the Harvey, so this is where the episode kind of blurs and kind of makes it kind of vague as to what the implication is on Harvey. Because one thing I know with the production notes is they were told right off the bat, because we're used to a lot of in the Batman comics, a lot of corrupt cops. So they were saying you're not allowed to show any corrupt city officials and to that extension, police officers. So in the DCAU world, I think there might be a couple very, very slight exceptions, but for the most part, no cops are corrupt. So when they're saying a lot of ancient history between Rupert Thorne and Harvey could come up and just get internal affairs onto Harvey's, shadow, they don't really make it clear as to what that is because in the comics, Harvey Bullock does have a history of being a formerly corrupt cop. He just kind of goes on the straight and narrow when Gordon kind of takes the reins of the police office. So my guess here is that Harvey, a little like Batman, is willing to bend the rules, but still kind of stay on the straight. so to speak, but he's willing to kind of go within a lot of gray areas to kind of get the job done. We just don't know what those gray areas are.
Yeah. Bullock is definitely a good gray Jedi.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I always assumed that, like, yeah, it was just him and Commissioner Gordon were probably like, oh, I guess, yeah, I guess at this point, Montoya are like the good, like, probably like the three, like, quote unquote, good cops, and everyone else is, you know, shades of bad, really, for the most part, is how I always assume most of the cops are, really, because if there's always like actually like a no name cop in this story, I always think that he's probably going to end up it's going it's going to end up being that guy at some point, or maybe being a part of it at least.
Hmm. So Batman goes into the police archives and he takes Bullock's file. And actually, Bullock goes in immediately afterward to look for his file and finds it gone. So, I
Yeah,
mean, if you hear that somebody's going to look into your past history and all of a sudden your file's gone, you're going
right.
to be a little, something's up.
Well, you know, he just says that that it could come up, not that it's going to. So he goes, because like that was a big thing that Gordon just says, like, you know, it's ancient history. Then he goes and checks it because Batman took it. He's like, oh yeah, ancient history indeed. So it kind of makes it look like, you know, Gordon is actually looking at when it's actually Batman. So actually, actually one of the few times when you see Batman being Batman actually is a hindrance to the story instead of actually being a good
That's a good way of looking
part
at
of
it.
the stuff.
Yeah.
Because like if it, yeah, because if it's like another cop being like, haha, maybe we'll be able to see what's going on, see what is it like. Yeah, it's like if the cop like he's dropping out the thing, being like, okay, what's this history, so we can go tell Rupert Thorne what's going on and take it, sort of thing.
Mm.
Or if it's Gordon himself just seeing being like, ah, maybe he has actually gone back to his old ways, but not, but no, it's just Batman.
Yeah.
Then I think
When
I
you
think
think
that's where
about
we
it,
cut.
it's got to be really frustrating working as a police officer. Like this is where I actually can understand a little bit about why Bullock doesn't like Batman because say you're going to look for a file, not just your own file, but any file, and it's relevant to a case that Batman's working on, and the file's just gone. Well, it's like, okay, so
Yeah,
like what am I supposed to do now? Or you go to the evidence locker and evidence
yeah,
is gone. Like
yeah,
that's
like
not
yeah,
just
back,
if he's taking it back to the Batcave to hang on like a trophy.
yeah. Like Batman doesn't just follow the police procedure where he like has to like go and like sign it out. You just see like on this tiny little sheet, it's just Batman. He's like, oh fuck, man, it's gonna be gone forever now. Can I call up Batman and be like, hey, let me see that. Let me see this piece of equipment. It's just like it just will come back when he feels like it. It could come back later on today, or it could be another like month, depending on like his back caseload.
Detective Montoya, why isn't your police work or your paperwork done? Because Batman. Oh, come on. No, seriously. Batman took all the stuff I need to fill out in the paperwork. Batman is responsible. Go talk to Batman.
Because Batman.
Yeah, so Batman looks in the file back in the Batcave and he's talking to Alfred and says that Bullock was suspected of taking graft from Thorne. And Thorne was working or Conway was working for Thorne at the time and was the one who gave the information that got Bullock in trouble. So the case was dropped for lack of evidence, and Batman thinks that Bullock is still to blame for why Conway's disappeared in the first place.
And then with that, like Alfred always says, he like still obsessed with that little scale. It turns out to be like a human crocodile scale or whatever sort of thing. He's because Batman
Hmm.
says like, hey, it's like human DNA or whatever, but it looks more crocodile-esque and or reptilian in nature sort of thing as
Yeah,
well.
and that's the thing with Killer.
Sorry, that was at the same time, right? I think.
That was around the same time, and that's the
Okay,
thing with Killer Croc is we never really get a origin story for
like
why
a
he
true.
is the way he is. It's more
I
like a skin condition, I guess.
I want to say in that one I was talking episode earlier when I was talking where he's like with the clown like the circus quote unquote freaks or whatever. Like I think he might say that, yeah, that sort of thing where he's just kind of born with skin condition or sort of thing, or it kind of goes into his backstory a little bit and like what happened with that sort of thing, which I think is just a birth deformity of some sort, I think. But as I said, it's been a long time since I've seen that episode, but it'll probably be coming up soon, I imagine.
Hmm. And
Because I think,
meanwhile, Conway, he's waking up in this underwater cave, and that's where this like mysterious figure is coming out of the water to meet him, and he's just like, "Oh no, not you!" So I really like this, I guess, intro to Killer Croc. It's not like a full display yet, but it kind of makes him feel like the creature from the Black Lagoon, only buffer. So it's a good kind of like tease as to what's to come.
yeah, yeah. And
And
then
that
to
cuts to Batman going to see Thorne because he wants more information about the Conway kidnapping. So he cuts to Thorne in his garden. I wouldn't have thought Rupert Thorne would be a gardener, but I guess mobsters need hobbies. Not feeding the ducks like Tony Soprano. But this is honestly one of my favorite Batman interrogations, especially because you can see when the time that the thugs go in to like corner him, like with all these like guns, Batman's kind of enjoying himself. Did you see the look on his face when he's just like getting a little hot in here? Let's go outside for some air. And it hangs him by like the like guess the tie of his apron. Like how strong is this apron? It must be made of like Kevlar or something.
yeah, yeah, because again, yeah, uses the back grapple and connects it that way and stuff, and does that, which is like another. Speaking of an old movie, it's kind of reminiscent of like that one of the first times where runs into the mobsters at the down at the docks or whatever, kind of like uses a grapple to get information out of them, which is just always fun. Always like that. That being Batman, being scary, and using his bad stuff to get the job done. It's always fun.
Mhm. And Thorne tells Batman, like, I don't need to kidnap Conway. He's got nothing on me that'll stick. So, and once again, Batman takes him in his word. This is the second time that I guess Rupert has told the truth to somebody who wants information out of him. So I don't know, maybe he's one of the few honest gangsters in Gotham. But
Yeah,
yeah, then Batman goes back to the dock to talk to Gordon, and that's where he tells him he thinks that Bullock might be responsible. And it starts off with Gordon defending Bullock. He's like, I know that Bullock has some rough edges to his personality, and he can be a little hard to work with, but like I trust him. Like he's a good cop. And it ends with Batman disappearing, and then Gordon saying, "Just for once, I hope your instincts are wrong." So, how much faith does he actually have in Bullock if all of it took was Batman saying, I think Harvey can't be trusted? Gordon going out and defending his character, and then all it takes is like 10 seconds of rethinking that and being like, maybe he is a corrupt cop. It's like,
I just read it. I read it more as that that's how much trust he has in actually Batman as just like an outside figure looking in sort of thing. Because like if you're both cops, you kind of want to trust Bullock sort of thing. So I guess he kind of
mhm,
in a way you kind of have that trust, even though it could be misplaced or whatever sort of thing. But you still gotta have that trust in your brother cop or whatever sort of thing. I guess so. So I guess with
yeah,
like and his trust in Batman, so he's like, yeah, if you're usually right, then whatever is what you're saying is true sort of thing. So yeah, so that's what he said that they actually hopefully this is one of the few times you're actually wrong. And then I think that's where it cuts to where it kind of show where Killer Croc pretends to be Bullock and goes to the police station to try and get whatever.
this is
But
the
like
stupidest
that wasn't like
disguise
a
I've ever seen in my
yeah that was
life.
a yeah that was like a very very bad disguise. So I think that just goes to show like how bad the fucking night shift at the police station is. Because if he's able to just like hang out in the dark and be like, hey, give me that thing, yeah, I'm totally Bullock and be
Yeah.
like, okay. And he's like, okay. Are you
I'll
sure? Are
say
you sure,
this much.
Bullock?
Killer Croc got Bullock's voice down to a T. But yeah, visually, we just see this guy standing in the shadows, like 8 feet tall, like looking like the Macho Man Randy Savage, only like scaly, and it's just like, I don't know. Are you sure? Are you sure you're Bullock?
because this version of Killer Croc is definitely bigger than I am, and I'm not small. And
Oh,
Bullock seems to be like 5'5", 5'6", like a small in height, but like kind of small fat guy sort of thing, or borderline sort of thing. So definitely not the same body size.
so he's gone to this precinct to grab Joey the Snail, who I guess he's implicated as well in this case. And yeah, he kidnaps this guy right out of the police precinct. And at that time, it comes to a cut to Batman reading the news about this and still looking at the lizard scale. That's when Alfred comes in and he's bringing him his dinner,
Yeah,
and he mentions,
French onion soup.
yeah, yeah, oh man, I'd love to taste Alfred's French onion soup.
Yeah,
Oh,
it would probably be
it's
really
just
good.
perfectly right.
And that got me thinking too, like Batman always has like a fresh like newspaper in the back cave. Like what kind of like kid like is he like bribing to not like to get him to deliver to the back cave and not tell anybody?
We have an understanding. I'm gonna make you a Robin one day.
So
He's gonna
Alfred
regret having that promise fulfilled.
so you just seen how reliable it is with the newspaper. So if he's can that it goes like a month without like a missed newspaper, like hey, it could be a Robin. That Alfred is like saying, "Yeah, I brought you food. So if you let it go cold again, yeah, just let you know it's actually in a microwavable crock, so you can heat it up later on." And that's where like Batman's kind of looking at the scale, and he's goes like crock, and then he's like, "Yeah." Then he gives him an idea, and that's where he goes to the Gotham Zoo, and
Hmm.
to look up the crocs, and then they're goes to like the croc exhibit, and then like the person giving the tour or whatever is, and then says like crocs live in like underground caves or whatever sort of thing. And then he's like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good So then he goes out to the Gotham Bay, and that's where he goes down and actually finds the cave that Croc has like that guy held in.
Yeah.
And now
Does
the
Batman
and
just
now
know where all the underwater caves in Gotham are? Because he finds these guys pretty quickly.
it's kind of the same sort of thing that's touched on in the Court of Owls storyline. So that like Batman has like for the good idea what the Gotham layout is. So like if you like something
Hmm.
happens, you be able to like go to things. So I imagine this is probably the same thing. But of course, but again, yeah, that I don't feel that would extend necessarily to like the Gotham Bay and knowing where all the random caves are. So just in case there's like a croc-based character to do
Yeah.
that. So yeah, yeah, I definitely wouldn't think that would extend that far. So, but yeah, but
Uh,
then too, like he takes like the bat. Now I'm thinking, I totally didn't think that like the bat boat turns into like a bat submarine, or does he just swim down?
I think it turns into a submarine and then he swims the rest of the way.
Oh, hopefully he doesn't take it down all the way down to the Titanic.
Oh my God. He would too.
But of course, there too. I think at least with that, I think it would be at least slightly better constructed than that one. So like it'd probably be a fair better than that,
Man
or
bumps
probably would
into
have,
James Cameron down there.
or at least you would have like a name brand PlayStation controller instead of just like an off-brand one.
Oh
Or
my gosh.
yeah,
Actually, knowing Batman and how kind of out of touch he is with the stuff going on in his own company, he would probably have accidentally signed off on making a submarine like that. Let's be honest. So yeah, he finds the guys the Joya Snail and Conway. And that's when we get introduced to Killer Croc in the full. Like this half man, half crocodile. What did you think of the Killer Croc design?
as I said, this is my like first introduction to him. So like so I think for the most part, like this is like the design that I think of when I think of Killer Croc, but I think it's more so just for familiarity and stuff. But it's not bad, but it could be a lot better because I imagine they probably didn't want to be in like the a cartoon for kids and stuff, they probably didn't want to make. Yeah, they didn't really go like too scary with the show as a whole. So like they
No.
probably didn't want to make them too like freaky looking. But it could. As I said, this is the one. This is like the design I think of the most, but it's okay at best.
Yeah, it definitely I like the redesign better than this personally, but that's just a personal choice.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think with that one,
he's big
it's
and
almost
gray.
the same. Yeah, because I think with the redesign of the new Batman thing, Adventures, I was looking, it looks almost the same, but they actually color him more like green than he is gray, because
Mhm.
like gray doesn't really make sense. But
No, I never understood why they picked gray over green with
yeah,
Killer
so
Croc.
unless it was like the same. I was just been make a Hulk reference, but that was different because he was gray initially. Then so that was backwards. So it could make a bad Hulk reference, but that's not why. So I don't know why they'd make up because I don't think any Crocs are gray that I can think of offhand, but not that I
I
know a lot
mean,
about
maybe like the
crocodiles.
ones in Africa that are like super, super like dried out.
Yeah, even that. I was like, yeah. So it's But yeah, it's okay. But it's but the same on the flip side, that's the one I think of the most when I think of Killer Croc, really. So
Yeah. So yeah, they get into this brawl, and you see like how strong that Killer Croc is. You know, like he has, as he says, like the strength of a crocodile. And as they're fighting it
but
out,
with that though too, he does mention like other than their bite strength, are crocodiles actually known for being super strong, or is it just the down force of their bites, really?
I think it comes down to the bite strength, really.
Yeah. So that kind of didn't really make sense to me, unless he's like his main attack was like biting people, but it wasn't really. It's just that, but because I said before, yeah, like this is like the other than Bane, Killer Croc is like like the strongman villain. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I guess I just kind of extrapolated that out to his strength as a whole, and so just because I guess again being the cartoon, they didn't want him going around biting people. I guess.
Yeah.
You
It'd
know,
be
give
kind of
kids the
hard
wrong
to get
idea.
past the sensors unless he's like biting through steel or something. Yeah, but yeah, I just picture him wanting revenge on Batman because Batman killed his cousins in that Underdweller episode. Like, if you look back, Batman actually snapped the jaw and I'm pretty sure killed one of those alligators. Like, you know that scene in Men in Black where like Will Smith is like stepping on the cockroaches in
Oh
front of the
yeah,
bus? It's like,
yeah, it's,
oh, I'm sorry. What was Auntie?
if you don't want nothing, it don't be nothing. Squish.
You're
Actually, it's been a
Killer
while since
Croc? I've killed Crocs.
it's been a while since I've seen that movie. I wonder if it holds up.
I think it holds up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely something I'd watch again, like on a Saturday, and happily enjoy my time rewatching
yeah,
those
but
scenes.
but since that little incident a couple years ago with him at the Oscars, I haven't been real too hardcore to go watch a Will Smith movie, really. So
Yeah, I still can't believe that they're doing Bad Boys 4. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
kind of wrapped up the story pretty good on the last one.
yeah. Like I know I've seen Bad Boys 3, but fucking nothing holds out. Remember, and I remember listening to the Goods in the Woods and was talking to Rivers after that. Rivers that like fucking Joey Pants like almost dies or does die in that movie, and I fucking
Oh, he
totally
dies.
forgot. Yeah, so I totally forgot that was the entire thing, and then as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that did happen in that movie.
Yeah.
So yes, I barely remember that whole setup with like what happens there. So like I don't remember anything from that fucking movie. I know I've seen it.
So yeah, Batman he manages to fight with Croc and get the crooks off to safety after Croc manages to escape to continue on what his plan is. Batman goes back to the Batcave and he's looking on articles about Croc. Okay, so one thing other than the fact that and this is true to the comics in most cases that Killer Croc was a wrestler, his name in this is actually not Waylon Jones. It's apparently Killer Croc Morgan, which might be an alias because I think later on they call him Waylon Jones.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. He's kind of got this like, as I was saying to you before we started recording, he's kind of got this WWE persona of like I'm the meanest dude, like Randy Savage. Like I am the Tower of Power.
The cream rises to the top. And then the
Step into
scene
a
too, like
Slim Jim, Batman.
and then the scene too is yeah, to find out like to go to the old newspapers and stuff. He was going through some like microfiche. And like where is he getting that? Like does he have like a library card and like just goes to the library and gets like old microfiche, or does he get like doubles and just has it like sitting in the back cave? Like
I think while Batman is like flirting with the library receptionist, he's like motioning to Alfred to like go into the archives as like a garbage bag, and he's just picking it off the shelf and stuffing them in there.
or he's like secretly funding the library and just has like doubles of everything and just has like a library like in one of the in one of like the rooms in the back cave and stuff, and just has like a massive dehumidifier just going in.
Oh, I didn't even think of
Because like
that. There must be huge dehumidifier like keeping that thing.
yeah, because the thought end for the computer itself, because because computers are known for not handling water or liquid all that well, so
That's a good point. Yeah, it's going to be a very wet cave when you don't have bat droppings like going into their like hardware. Oh man. I love it when we just try and crack open the Batman mythos and say, wait a second. So we go to him looking into the files. And so apparently Bullock was the one to arrest Killer Croc. Okay, so pump the brakes here. How did Bullock arrest Killer Croc? Look at the size of this guy.
well, yeah, he was probably
How
just
long he
like
is.
it probably just had like a bunch of cops with him, and he was like the lead cop or whatever. So he gets like yeah, so his name goes on the arrest report or whatever. So it goes in with the team and like, I get him, boys. Uh, wait, go me because I led the team to get him.
But even
Because
if you did
obviously,
that, like, where do you find handcuffs strong enough to hold him? Like, the only way I can see this happening is if, like, Bullock was chasing Croc and it's like Taco Tuesday and he just let one rip, like, within Croc's, like, vicinity. And he just knocked him out so hard that he just, like, hit the pavement. And while he was unconscious, Bullock just, like, grabbed, like, a pair of, like, chains or something and held him in and took a truck to take him down to the priest. Yeah, like I believe that Bullock can make arrests with a freakish alligator man. I kind of want to see him show his work. Yeah, and they goes to the police headquarters where earlier in the episode, Bullock had been arrested because he's the closest to a suspect that they have on the matter.
yeah.
But with the criminals being returned to police custody, they realize, oh well, clearly Bullock's not the guy. So he's pushing his way through the press scrum to get back to his car, and that's where Croc finds him, and he's like ready to get revenge on Bullock for having arrested him. Apparently, Batman was waiting in the back seat of the car this entire time.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see
I
that
love
coming,
it.
or I'd totally forgotten that that was the thing. Yeah, so they because Croc's like, "Hey, get in the car, and you're mine now, Bullock, for taking me down." Then all of a sudden, you see Batman's hand come out. I'm like, "Holy shit!" I definitely didn't see that coming.
It was amazing. Like I know like Batman's known for being this person to like, hide in the shadows stuff. But when you think of him just tucked in the back seat of like Bullock's sedan, oh man, I love it. Like I'm just picturing him just there, like, okay, do I go now? Do I go now? All right. Well, Croc's in the car, so maybe I'll let him talk a little bit. All right, okay, now. So yeah, Batman's grabbing him by the hand and stops him, and they get into a tussle. And Croc escapes into the sewers, and that's where I have my fingers crossed that Killer Croc goes down there and kills the sewer king. One day I will take my revenge upon the surface world. They crap a crocodile.
Or he's just like taking care of him in between like that episode and this one, being like, "Hey, off my turf, yeah, fucking weirdo." Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
he
they
would
have
do
this
that.
fight.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, just have this little fight, and then like Bullock is all confused as to why Batman helped him out and stuff. And that's where he's saying like, "Hey, I actually thought for a second it might be you too, so I want to make sure. I thought you were one of the good ones, so I just want to actually do my due diligence and stuff and make sure instead of just assuming you're a shitty cop. Because even though we have different views as to how to do things, we actually are still looking out for justice."
Mhm. In my defense, you're kind of a jackass, so yeah, I thought you were guilty.
Well, you are a cop and all, so we can't really trust you all that well, even if you are a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, even in Gotham, a cab. Except for me, maybe Gordon, and
yeah.
sometimes you.
Let's
It made
face
me,
it,
it
Batman
made me,
absolutely thinks he's better than the cops.
oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Well, if he didn't, he wouldn't be doing that job to begin with.
yeah. So yeah, it cuts to afterwards, Bullock being formally cleared of all charges and tells criminals on the streets like get ready because I'm back and I'm ready to kick butt. I was just like, okay, like you had me at the Bullock on the streets thing, but the ready to kick butt thing. I'm like, this is A, very 90s and B, very corny. Like I get it. Like I'm glad to see him back on the job. But yeah, like you're really pushing the corny factor here.
All right,
Yeah.
so yes, so what would you give this episode out of five ex carnies?
What if five X Carnies? I'm gonna give it three.
Oh,
I
three.
thought into the beginning of this episode this is going to be a Batman and Bullock team up. But it wasn't. There's actually an episode later on that does that, which I kind of liked. But no, most of the time it's just him kind of figuring out what's really going on here, and he goes in with the suspicion that Harvey is, guilty from the start. And it was a good introduction to Killer Croc, and it was a very, very good animation. And this story kind of took a couple twists and turns that were kind of harder to keep track than I thought at first, but no, like it's an episode I would watch again.
I think I give it 2.5 out of 5 ex carnies because I think it was a decent Croc episode, but it was not the best like introduction or like episode to a character really. So like I felt like a second or third episode where we just kind of got like a brief introduction to him, and then yeah, they didn't really give too much to his backstory, and then we kind of would have given you a couple episodes to build out it more, then maybe get to that Carney episode where he actually goes into it more. But that yeah, so I said definitely I think it's 2.5 out of 5 X Carnies I give it, I think. So it's any last words on Killer Croc?
How powerful was that taco that Harvey had to have eaten to knock Killer Croc unconscious? Like, is he a Taco Bell man or is he a quesadilla man or Quiznos?
I'd say like questionable street tacos Harvey goes for.
Very
It's
much
like
so.
yeah, like they're good tacos, but like the cart he gets them from, the guy probably looks like the guy hasn't washed his hands in a week, and like all this stuff, all his utensils I use probably has been about a month since he looks like he's washed it last, and like looks like he's like one infraction away of like losing his like food license and like the food cart license, but they're the best damn tacos in fucking Gotham City.
Yeah.
I think it's where he gets his tacos from. So if you do that and get some like nice guac on there, yeah, you probably could take on the world after that, I think.
We don't need knockout gas. We've got Harvey's sphincter.
But yeah, but all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us in the Batcave this week to talk about Batman the Animated Series and our first Killer Croc episode. And next week's episode is what is next week's episode is Fear of Victory, which which I think is our which will be our second Robin episode so far, I believe, if memory serves. And you can follow us on Twitter/X at Beyond Backcast, on Instagram at Beyond the Backcast, and we're on YouTube now at Beyond the Backcast. So if you like watching stuff on YouTube, listening that way, and so through the regular podcast distributors, check us out there. And remember to wherever you listen to us or watch us, or rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us out a little bit. And Braydon, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Instagram at Alfred is Zaddy,
Oh,
and
is
you can
that
also find me on our Facebook page, Beyond the Backcast.
all right? And you can follow me at Stump Chunkman on the Instagram, and you can also listen to my sometimes podcast I do, which is the Multiverse of Marvel, which I think X-Men 97's first season is almost done if it's not. So I think I need to talk to those guys and do that and finish watching that and talk about that. I think it's next gonna be the next one. So I think by the time this comes out, it might be out. We'll see, depending on how lazy I am or not or whatever. So I have to talk to them. But as I said, thanks for listening to us in the Batcave talking about Batman the animated series at Beyond the Backcast. Have a good day, chums. Kapow.